Yo, 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 what it do, YouTube? It's your favorite white boy, Mike Easy, back with the real. You already know the deal. And for this video, we're going to be speaking about Bad Boy Records artist Travell Gerald Coleman, better known for his stage name, G Dep, that was famously known for turning himself in 2010 for a murder he committed back in 1993. Make sure y'all like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for more videos. Now let's dive right into it. Now G Dep has an unusual story because unlike most people that get famous and then catch murder charges or get involved with heinous crimes, he actually done the opposite and did some terrible deeds early in life and never got convicted before he got famous. Travell Coleman, better known as G Dep, was born in Harlem, New York on November 19th, 1974. Raised up by his grandmother in the Weldon Johnson housing projects, it's unknown what really happened to his parents. I couldn't really find any information on it, but granted, around this time in New York, drugs wreaked havoc around the city, and a lot of the younger kids, their parents fell victim to bad drug habits, causing them to be absent from their kids' lives and forcing them to live mostly with grandparents or close relatives. Growing up in Harlem, he was introduced to the streets at a young age. Trying to sell drugs and make money in any way possible, close friends and relatives always labeled him as a good-hearted person who always cared for others. On October 19th, 1993, a man by the name of John Hinkle, who was 32 years old at the time, was standing outside of the James Johnson Houses projects on East 114th Street, when 19-year-old G Dep ambushed him from the corner and pulled out a .40 caliber pistol, shooting Hinkle in the chest in an attempted robbery. Scared of getting caught, Coleman fled the scene, throwing his .40 caliber pistol into the East River, trying to get rid of the evidence, leaving Hinkle lying in a pool of blood, not knowing if he would live or die. While at the same time not receiving anything from the botched robbery he had just committed, he would go on to hear about the shooting and the man dying through the streets. Fleeing from the scene, Hinkle would later die and the case would go cold, as no witnesses were around at the time, and it being in the early 90s, no cameras were available to catch anything. Coleman would continue living life with a heavy heart, knowing what he had done. While living in New York, the birthplace of hip-hop, Coleman would fall in love with the genre of music and start to rap himself in the middle of the late 90s, dropping his first two singles with the rap label Tape Kings in 96 and 97. In 1998, shortly after the death of rap legend Biggie Smalls, the notorious B.I.G., Coleman would meet Puffy Combs in 1998. After losing Big, Puffy would fall in love with Coleman's style of rapping and offer him a deal. Coming from nothing, Coleman would later sign a $350,000 rap deal for 5 albums to Bad Boy Records. This was a tough time for both artists, as Puffy was in the rebuilding stage of Bad Boy after losing Big in 97. In the next year, Coleman, known as G Dep by now, would appear on 2 songs on Bad Boy Records, Black Rob's 1999 debut album, Life Story. Gaining attention as a solid rapper, G Dep would then release his own debut solo album, Child of the Ghetto, in 2001. Child of the Ghetto peaked at number 106 on the Billboard 200 and number 23 on top R&B hip-hop albums. Single Special Delivery from the album peaked at number 59 on Hot R&B hip-hop songs and number 3 on the Hot Rap singles. Not long after that, G Dep was dropped from Bad Boy Records for unknown reasons, but some speculated it was from drug addiction and not putting forth the effort for his music. Others say it was Diddy just taking his record label in a new direction, shelving G Dep, thus drowning his self-esteem, pushing him into his further drug use habits. But in 2007, G Dep and local rapper Loon collabed on an album called Bad Boy that they released independently, and then in 2010, he released his final album called Ghetto Legend on the famous records label right before turning himself in to authorities. See, G Dep struggled heavily with a PCP drug addiction that kept him from reaching his full potential with the music. He was in an on and off again cycle of going to jail, committing robberies, and back and forth through rehab. He was never able to shake the habit before going to prison. And I don't know how many of y'all really know how bad PCP affects you, but from what I know, it really fucks you up and fucks with your ability to focus and stay sane. People have used it recall hallucinating heavy, saying crazy shit, and thinking they have super courage strength, kind of like meth heads do who have stayed up one too many days. A couple months after releasing his final album, and after fighting for many years with his drug addiction, G Dep finally succumbed to depression and constant guilt, and on December 15, 2010, walked into the 25th precinct to confess to a cold case crime, the murder of a Queens man back in 1993. Now they say G Dep had attempted to confess twice before, but was previously considered to be under the influence of drugs, which he probably was, but that was just his guilty conscience, eating away at a good heart. G Dep stated in the interview that he confessed because the case just weighed so heavy on him, and he was just trying to get things right between himself and God. G Dep claimed that he did not even know that the victim had died, but later on, like I said, he heard from word on the street that he did have died. Puff Diddy, P. Diddy, commented on G Dep's situation on the Shade 45 radio show, saying, G Dep, he did the right thing by confessing, even though he's going through his own stuff right now, but that's another story. G Dep pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder at his appearance in the New York Supreme Court on January 13, 2011. He was convicted of the second-degree murder charge on April 17, 2012, and was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison on May 8, 2012. He was housed at the Fishkill Correctional Facility in Beacon, New York, and on December 2023, Coleman's sentence was commuted by Governor Kathy Hochul, making him eligible for parole. And in 2024 of April, he was released. A video online surfaced showing him being released from prison and some of his family members meeting him at the gates, which G Dep looked very happy.
Get that hug. Yes. Yes. Come on, get that hug. Like Santa Claus. I told you I was bringing you home, right? In January, I thought I was breaking out to get my hug.
Get over here. That boy was in there reading. Yeah. Hey, what's up, my man? I mean, that boy home. That boy home. That boy home.
While in prison in 2016, G Dep did an interview with Vlad TV in which he spoke about his time being in prison and the reason for confessing to the crime, also stating that he felt like a lot of pressure was lifted off his conscience, thus feeling like even though he couldn't bring the man back, he felt like confessing gave the family of the deceased man some closure. The plans for any new music are unknown, but like a lot of artists who get out of prison, they either drop some new music or generate funds. Or in this time, they start a podcast, so you can bet one of the two will probably be happening in the next coming months. So let this be a lesson to all y'all young folks who think it's cool to be popping pills and doing all these other kind of drugs out there, thinking you can do them and continue on to your career like nothing ever happened. Let me be the first to tell you it won't happen that way. You're going to fall and fail, and you will not accomplish any goal you set out to do. Time after time again, you see people fall from grace after falling into a drug habit. The two just don't mix. Hopefully, since G Dep got his mind and heart right, he can pick up where he left off and do some good for the world and himself. Until the next time, peace.